Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews will today unveil the next stage of restrictions as the state braces for more than 650 new cases and another high number of COVID-19 deaths. The New Zealand-style Level 4 lockdown measures will be announced by the Premier this afternoon and expected to come into force on Wednesday. It would be the hardest restrictions imposed anywhere in Australia since the start of the pandemic. Under Stage 4 lockdown measures, Victorians will only be allowed to shop for essential items, service stations, supermarkets and chemists among the few stores that will remain open. Residents will be told to stay inside their suburbs. Students at school will be sent home to complete the rest of the semester via remote learning, and there will be an increased police presence across the state. Cases in Victoria hovered in the triple digits for the 27th straight day yesterday, with 397 new infections and another 3 deaths. In breaking news this hour, it's expected more than 650 new cases will be revealed today by Premier Andrews when he announces those tougher lockdown measures. Across the country, there are now more than 6,500 active COVID-19 cases, 6,293 of those in Victoria alone. 12 in New South Wales today, taking the total number of active cases to 231. Queensland also adding 1 new case today, a man who returned from overseas and flew to Brisbane from Sydney after leaving hotel quarantine on Friday. We are standing by to hear from the New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian shortly. The Victorian Premier is expected to speak later this afternoon, and we will, of course, have complete coverage of that announcement here on Sky News. Meanwhile, the federal government says it will offer Victoria as much support as needed, backing the state's decision to move to Stage 4 restrictions. Political editor Andrew Clennell joins me now. Andrew, government ministers say that it is in the national interest for Victoria to really get a handle on this second wave.
It's just got out of control, and you can see that, Danica, with the more than 650 cases again today, 17 deaths are the reports. The highest number of deaths so far. That there are a few other options, and we saw Dan Tehan, the Education Minister, Victorian-based, on Sunday agenda this morning saying if they go to Stage 4, the federal government will support them.
Our Chief Medical Officer is providing help and assistance to Victoria. We're working collaboratively and closely with them. We want to make sure that this second Victorian wave, that we can get on top of it and deal with it as quickly as we possibly can, because it's absolutely in the national interest that we do so.
The key details to look out for in Daniel Andrews' press conference this afternoon is exactly what are the restrictions. I've been told it's not exactly the same as New Zealand, where butchers, fruit shops, hairdressers were shut, pretty much construction and manufacturing and everything was shut, but the speculation's been around abattoirs being shut because there have been outbreaks there. They've been around many of the New Zealand restrictions, but not all. The New Zealand situation was a situation where, apart from going to the supermarket, everyone had to stay home. There's been speculation about restrictions on Ubers and taxis, but not public transport. These are the sort of measures Daniel Andrews thought about in March before he decided to go with the rest of the nation on pubs, restaurants, shutdowns, etc. It was put to him, the New Zealand lockdown situation, on July 22nd, about 2 weeks back. That time he wasn't ruling it out, but he wasn't very enthusiastic for it either.
What number you want to put beside the stage, or what country around the world you want to compare them to, that's not the way in which we're thinking. That's not the sort of work that we do. These matters are under constant review based on the data each day, the trends each week.
So, Danica, in Melbourne this morning we've seen large queues outside supermarkets, as you might expect. People getting ready to be in their homes for a long period of time, even though the supermarkets are going to remain open once these restrictions come into force.
Yeah.